His Life and World by Robert K. Massie is a sweeping biography that brings to life the extraordinary journey of Russia's most transformative Tsar. Ascending to the throne at a young age, Peter endured a tumultuous childhood marked by political intrigue and personal loss. Yet his vision and determination propelled him to modernize Russia, turning it into a major European power. Massie's acclaimed work vividly explores Peter's ambitions, innovations, and the enduring impact of his reign. Determined to modernize Russia, transforming it from a backward feudal state into a European power, implemented a series of reforms: army, navy, administration, education, clothing, even customs. Established a new capital, St. Petersburg, the gateway to Europe. Defeated Sweden in the Great Northern War, making Russia the dominant power in the Baltic region. Peter the Great, His Life and World. Detailed summary with suggestions. Scene 1. The Little Tsar in the World of Intrigue. Peter was born in 1672, the son of Tsar Alexis. His early years were marked by fierce struggles between different factions in the Russian court. At the age of 10, he ascended the throne as Tsar, but in reality, his half-sister Sophia was regent. Peter grew up surrounded by danger, intrigue, and political violence, such as the Streltsy Uprising, where he witnessed brutal executions that shaped his fear and ruthlessness. Hint: a boy, wide-eyed but curious, stands amid the towering Kremlin walls, while fur-clad soldiers and bearded nobles argue furiously in the background, torches casting ominous shadows. Scene 2. Curiosity in the playground of war. Unlike many other rulers, Peter was active and curious. He and his friends built toy armies and miniature fortresses, training them as real soldiers. This playful beginning turned into a lifelong fascination with military might and engineering. Subject: Peter, a tall and strong young man, is training a group of boys in homemade military uniforms, with wooden cannons and a makeshift fortress on a meadow outside Moscow, his face glowing with excitement. Scene 3. Journey to the West. In 1697, Peter set out on his famous Great Tour to Europe, traveling in secret to learn shipbuilding, navigation, and modern science. He worked in Dutch shipyards and studied anatomy, artillery, and urban planning. This experience deeply influenced his vision of making Russia a European-style power. Subject: Peter, disguised in simple workman's clothes, is nailed to a giant ship being built in an Amsterdam shipyard, surrounded by foreign craftsmen and curious onlookers. Scene 4. Reformer and tyrant. Back in Russia, Peter introduced sweeping reforms: shaving his beard, adopting Western clothing, reorganizing the army, building a navy, and modernizing the administration. Resistance was fierce, but Peter used terror and force when necessary, brutally suppressing dissent, including the execution of thousands of Streltsy rebels. Reminders: Peter stands on a scaffold in Moscow, overlooking rows of condemned soldiers awaiting execution, snow falling as foreign advisors watch silently from the background. Scene 5. Founding St. Petersburg. Peter dreamed of a window to the west. On the marshy Baltic coast, he ordered the construction of St. Petersburg in 1703, despite harsh living conditions and the deaths of many workers. The city became his greatest legacy, symbolizing Russia's new identity. Prompt: thousands of peasants labor in the mud with primitive tools, while Peter, tall and imposing, points toward the soaring towers of the Peter and Paul Fortress along the Neva River. Scene 6. The Great Northern War. Peter fought against King Charles XII of Sweden in the Great Northern War, 1700 to 1721 New Wayne. Although initially defeated, he reformed his army and eventually won the decisive Battle of Poltava, 1709. This victory marked the emergence of Russia as a European power. Suggestion: a vast battlefield under a smoky sky, Peter rides at the head of a disciplined Russian army, while the Swedes retreat in disorder. The Russian flag flies in victory over the ruins. Scene 7. The man behind the Tsar. Beyond politics and war, Peter was a man of contradictions. Tall, almost 2.1 meters, rude in his manners, but extremely curious about Obsession and willpower transformed a medieval kingdom into an empire that shaped world politics for centuries. The value of the work, Massie writes in a style that is both historical and vivid like a novel. He not only portrays Peter as a great leader, but also shows his fierce, decisive, and sometimes cruel personality. Through that, readers have a deeper understanding of the historical turning point that transformed Russia from an isolated kingdom into a powerful Russian empire. This is one of the best historical biographies of the Russian Tsar, highly appreciated by both academics and general readers.